I have a really special guest, someone who I didn't know if he was part of the 49ers credentialed media or not because his stuff is so official. He has a YouTube channel / podcast called 49ers Rush Podcast. I follow him. I actually didn't follow him until recently, but he's always showed up on my timeline. And like I said, I thought he was one of the most, I thought he was credentialed media because his stuff and like people gravitate towards him. He's really good. I want to introduce John Chapman. John, if you want to tell people where to find you, where you are, what you do.
Yeah, Aaron, man, first off, I just want to say thanks for reaching out and having me. And I think you're exactly right. My whole thing, I put a lot of content out there, and sometimes I have to stop myself because I have so much more I want to put out there. And so my name's John Chapman. I'm the host of the 49ers Rush podcast. And kind of everything that we do is film-based. And it's because there's so much film out there, which is so great. Like we're going through our draft class right now. And so we're doing a full-fledged hour-plus show on each individual draft pick. And I have to stop myself because it's almost impossible just to get through one of these players and to do them justice, what their background is, what they're good at, what they're bad at. Like it is a major motion picture that I want to put out for every single episode. And so appreciate it. You can find me on Twitter. That's probably the most annoying place I am, at JL_Chapman. And again, 49ers Rush podcast, wherever it is you listen or watch. I always recommend YouTube because, again, we're film-based. Former football coach, and I want to go through the film and understand all those things and, what will make a player successful or not and figure those things out. And so we started the whole thing off just trying to educate fans and build a stronger community. But if you're a 49ers fan, we are spoiled. There are so many great follows and podcasts just like yours, Aaron. So glad to be here with First Takes, man.
Thank you very much. I told myself, or at least I wanted to tell myself, that hopefully as I started doing this, that I could interact or collaborate with some of the best in the business, whether it be someone who played like Eric Crocker, Larry Krueger, yourself. I'm going to have the Fourth and Gold podcast, I think, on here on Saturday. Javier Vega.
Oh, he's the man. That's
those guys, kind of him and one like his former host. I won't say much about it, but and now his new host. I kind of started seeing him on YouTube or on Twitter, and I started to see kind of like how I wanted to go about doing things. I started kind of like watching all you guys and saying like, okay, if I want to do something, this is kind of my template. So like, I just think you guys are all just like really good at what you do. And if I could be half as good one day, I will be all right with that.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate the kind words.
No problem. So I've had a couple guests on, and one of the first questions I asked them is if they had to grade the Niners offseason draft free agency, whether 1 to 10, A to F, I guess. How would you look at it? How would you rate it? Is it really good? Are you scared about the trading away of assets for Trey Lance? So like, where do you stand?
Man, so I'm a teacher in my other lifetime. So let's go with the grading scale, man. I'm going to go a solid A. I want to say A+, but just like you said, you gave up a lot. Now, free agency was stellar. Absolutely incredible. You plugged all of your holes so that you could go into the draft and basically say, look, where is the one area or two areas that are holding us back? Let's go get your guy. You were able to sign so many guys back in free agency and answer all those questions that you were able to spend all that extra draft capital to go get Trey Lance. Now, I should say A+ just because we didn't get Mac Jones, but we don't know what Trey's going to be. I feel like I was one of the people that was like championing, Trey Lance the entire time before the draft. When we got him, I was so elated, but we don't know. He's the youngest quarterback in the NFL. And he's 21. It could not work out. I think that it will, and I think that he landed in the perfect spot for him. And I think Kyle Shanahan in this offense is going to complement his strengths so well. Very, very excited for the potential of the future. But again, it's potential. Potential just means you haven't done it yet. So I'm going to give it an A, but just understand this entire offseason, you could even argue Kyle Shanahan's career with the 49ers rests upon one player. When you push your chips in and you trade 3 first rounders and a third for Trey Lance, it's gambling. I mean, you're all in. If that doesn't pan out, it could not only be the end of this draft. I don't think Kyle Shanahan's going anywhere, but heads are going to roll if it doesn't work out.
Definitely. I tried not to get too wrapped up in what other people say, but there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of content creators. Grant Cohn said that, there was a little bit of camp struggles with Trey Lance, but it's expected. I was going to jump on him and say, like, here you go again. But I actually listened to what he had to say, and he actually expects Trey to be where he's at right now, and it's kind of as expected. So I got off the ledge and, relaxed. I'm one of those people that's like, I'm very cynical. I have a nephew who's 25, 26. He's a Niners fan too. We're super cynical fans. Like nothing will satisfy us until we win a Super Bowl. But sometimes I have to be positive. Like I really have to like get the negative out, and I have to look at it like I feel like the Niners nailed it so good, like with just all the 1-year deals, keeping the roster intact. The way I look at it is, in order to compete, sometimes you have to risk it all and go after a guy you think is a transcendent talent who could push you over the top. I was a big fan of him and Justin Fields just because I feel like they do a lot more off script, off platform. Jimmy Garoppolo is your standard pocket passer. He had some mobility. Now it's very limited. He seems a little scattershot sometimes when gets pressure in his face. And I feel like the league is kind of going in that direction right now with these kind of quarterbacks. And I'm glad the Niners, I had some doubts in the offseason. Were they going to address quarterback? Were they going to address all these players that they drafted who haven't done anything for them and stay loyal to these guys? And they made moves on all the people that I wanted them to make, got rid of all the people I wanted them to get rid of. And I got to say, I'm pretty satisfied. I was very, 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 I was in a state of watch them not do anything kind of mood. And so I'm very happy.
I'll say this. I'm with you, Aaron. It's so easy in today's kind of climate that if you're not like putting up the best offense ever and, winning the Super Bowl by 30 points, that the year's a failure. Like that's just the common understanding that, oh, did you win a Super Bowl? Then you suck. That's not the way things work. And, you brought up another reporter, and I do want to say he has changed and grown on me as time has gone. He's a little bit more positive this year. We'll see how long that lasts. Hopefully it lasts a little bit longer than normal. But, I grew up, my dad, my parents didn't live in the same place. So I'd go stay with my dad in the summers. He had season tickets to the Braves. And this was like way back, like Greg Maddux, Smoltz, Avery, all that stuff, right? Glory days of the Braves. And we would go to the games, and it was awesome. But he was the type of fan that we'd be up like 5-2 in the 7th, and he'd be like, oh, we'll blow it in the 9th. Every game, it was like, dude, you're never happy. And I remember just calling him out as a kid, like, why are you here? You're miserable and you're winning. Like, what is wrong with you, man? So, like, at the end of the day, we're fans, and that's important. And yeah, sometimes skepticism, it takes place in sports for sure, but being able to enjoy these times, the fact that the 49ers had the roster that they had, and they were able to get all the way to number 3 and get this super supreme talented quarterback to add onto this very deep roster with a great coaching staff. I'm telling you right now, remember Chip Kelly times, right? Oh. Remember when our head coach, I don't even want to say his name, farted at a press conference.
Yes. Oh my God, I saw that the other day for the first time.
Yeah. We are in a much better time. And so if you can't enjoy this, it's the pursuit. Enjoy that. This is awesome, man. So I'm with you. I feel very confident. Skepticism's always going to be there, especially after all the injuries we have had.
Yes.
But man, if you can't be happy right now and excited about the future of this franchise, you need to check yourself a little bit.
I'm pretty miserable when I watch games. I'm not going to lie. I'm part, me and my nephew watched the Seattle San Francisco game. The year we went to the Super Bowl. It was the one at home where Dre Greenlaw got the pick. And I thought we were good. But Jimmy played so bad in that game.
Yeah.
And me and my nephew were just like, we couldn't get excited because the Niners defense would do something so great. And then as soon as the offense would take the field, nothing. And it's just like, we're so like, we want perfection. If we're winning, I want to win every game 35-3. Like I I don't know. I'm hard. Like I can't watch games with people. I have to watch them by myself because I'm just miserable the whole time. And then as soon as the game's over, I'm like, I feel like I just boxed like 15 rounds. Like I'm so tired and stressed out. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
but
That's just how I
going
vote.
live after that. That's the thing. Like, so you watch this game and you're doing notes and you're like tweeting out stuff and all these things is going on. And then the game's over and you're just like, oh, like I was able to go to the Super Bowl, right? Which was so awesome
That's
against the
awesome.
Chiefs. And then I had to go live at the stadium as confetti is going down. And I was just like, how the hell am I going to do this? I'm exhausted, little tipsy. I drank a lot, and I'm freaking heartbroken.
I was so
But
heartbroken.
it's constantly just putting things into perspective. And it was just like literally like, man, I am here at the Super Bowl. My team made it to the Super Bowl. This is an incredible feat in and of itself. I guess that's how Bills fans feel. Like there's good things ahead. But yeah, I'm with you, man. It's exhausting a lot of times. We put a lot into it.
Yeah, it's that Super Bowl was. I think the heartbreaking thing about it is I'm always really skeptical, but with 7 minutes to go, I started to let my mind go there. Like we might do this.
That interception, the Tarvarius Moore interception. That's where I was like, oh hell yeah, it's happening.
I think we might do this. And see, my nephew, like he's never seen us win it. I've seen it enough times. Most recently, when I'm 41, so I was 15 the last time the Niners won the Super Bowl, and I knew the feeling of just awesome. Like it was just, I couldn't believe that my wall was covered with newspapers and clippings and stuff. I was so into it. And my nephew's never experienced it. All he's experienced is heartbreak. And I so bad want them to win and just let him feel that, come over, hug. I'll drink. I'm straight edge, but I'll drink a beer with him just to celebrate. It was tough, but you're right. Now with my channel, I started only doing like voice videos with the wave stream thing going on it with no picture.
I did the same thing, man.
Almost like a
for
podcast.
like 2 years. Yeah.
And now that I go live and I'm starting to kind of like it, it's going to be tough after losses, man, because I'm going to have to have a bunch of guests on because I'm going to have to defer because I get really pissed off, especially after losses. But yeah, can't only imagine going to the Super Bowl and experiencing that. But you're right. We got there after being so bad, and they built that team up in 3 years to get there.
We got quick.
It was a quick turnaround. Say what you want about, their first draft only hitting really on DJ Jones and Kittle, I think.
Yep.
But that's like drafting in a nutshell. Every team's going to, look at Belichick lately. He hasn't done that great. So say what you want. It's hard. It's hard to evaluate talent. Yeah. So I got into the, we mentioned injuries being one of the biggest issues last year. And sure enough, not even a day or two goes by with everybody there, and we have the Jeff Wilson Jr. news of him missing 4 to 6 months. It irritated me. I was like, really? And it was, I guess he did it lifting weights or something, or doing.
Yeah, there's a couple different reports out there. One person said like he was just getting up off the floor, like he was on the floor. And he was getting up and former coach, like I've seen kids tear my son tore his meniscus just playing, stepped in a hole, playing in a field, like just running around with kids. And I think he was like 10 whenever it happened. And I was like, oh, you're fine. Whatever. Suck it up. We take him in a little bit while longer. And yeah, it's like, surgery. Here we go. Yeah, it happens in weird ways. And the good news is, if there is good news here, one, it happened in the facility, which means he's going to get paid. That's good news.
Good for him.
I'm always fighting for players to get paid. I want everybody to get paid, even if I don't like you. But two, the 49ers drafted in a way in which injuries would not be the demise of this season. That's not what's going to be it. Because if you look back 2 of the last 3 years with Kyle Shanahan, they lost because the quarterback got injured. And so that ended the season. It was over. Not anymore. Now Jimmy Garoppolo gets injured. Guess what? Trey Lance comes in, maybe even an upgrade. And same thing with the running back position. It sucks that Jeff Wilson went down. He would have been a lock on this roster. However, you drafted 2 running backs, and you don't skip a beat moving forward. You really, really don't. And again, like Elijah Mitchell, here we go. Wayne Gallman, who you signed in the offseason on a very low deal for a veteran quarterback that's proven he can do it in the NFL. Let's go. JaMychal Hasty, he's fifth running back right now.
I forgot about JaMychal Hasty. That's
golly,
right.
He was awesome. He was so exciting. So we're fine. And the depth that this team was able to establish on the short salary cap year that was affected by, the pandemic and all those things, it's pretty damn special. And last thing I'll say about this is the shortened cap everybody thought was going to hurt the 49ers. Nope. That shortened cap year helped all top-tier talent teams. Look at Tampa Bay. They were able to get everybody back. Look at the 49ers, able to get everybody back. And it might only be 1 or 2 year rental deals, but still, you were able to get those guys back. Now, next year, they've already announced the salary cap is going to jump back up. But the 49ers, right. Yeah, the 49ers were beneficiaries of this, turns out. I wouldn't guess that beforehand, but they've done well.
I was very worried about who and what would return. Like, I had made a video of like who would you guys, if you had to pick 3 or 4 players and get rid of the rest, like who's your top?
You got them all.
We got every single one of them. I'm not really too sad about Kendrick Bourne. I'm not the biggest Kendrick Bourne fan. Yeah, he's like dependable and all that, but he just, to me, he's like replaceable.
He's a good player, and I think his biggest contribution was the energy level he would bring, which the 49ers are missing some of this because you lost Sherman, right? You lost Kendrick Bourne, you lost Quan Alexander. Those were kind of the vocal, high-energy guys in the locker room. They're all gone this year. Somebody's got to step up, whether it's somebody in the rookie class. I think Ambry Thomas fits that mold. But if you watch those rookie press conferences, they're pretty boring. They're pretty mild. They're pretty tame, or at least what they let off early, but not Ambry Thomas. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe some of the free agent signings that we brought in, we'll pick that up. But I'm with you. Kendrick Bourne, he was the number 3 wide receiver, but people forget he didn't start 3 of the last 4 games, and he was healthy. They replaced him with Richie James, and then Richie James had a bad game. They replaced him with what's his name? Oh my goodness! Don't let me forget this name. River Craycraft, name team. I love it. So like they like Kendrick Bourne and they wanted to bring him back, but for that contract that he got in New England, no way. That's not okay. Ahkello Witherspoon, good luck to you. I'm so glad he went to the NFC West. I really, really am. Right. Tevin Coleman, all right. Good luck in the Jets. Like, and I wish them the best. It's not like they're not with us, so screw them. No. Once a 49er, always a 49ers. Like, that's what it is. Like, they are our brethren. Like, that's the way it should be viewed. You don't, like, hate them because they go elsewhere. That's not what it is. But whenever you look at the dollars and cents, what they were paid, what they got, what they were compensated for, I'm so happy about that. I want to see everybody get their paper. But I'm glad that it wasn't with us because of the cap numbers and shifting that money elsewhere.
I think the only player that I was very happy to see go was Dante Pettis when they traded or let him go.
Yeah,
I was never a fan ever. And then my biggest issue, because I'm a very high strung person, when people have aloof personalities in sports, where it kind of like a Jay Cutler kind of shucks, I absolutely hate that. Especially with the money you get paid, you better care.
I shouldn't care more than you, right? That's right. The idea.
My father used to yell at me all the time, especially, I would think it was the 97 NFC champ. This is when we lost to the Packers we got Chris Dolman and all these guys. And I remember like flipping out. My dad's like, you care more than they do. They still get paid. I'm like, but they should care. But, whatever. But yeah.
That's why we're fans, right? Fanatics. That's who we are.
Nuts. Speaking of wide receiver, what do you make of this Julio Jones rumor mill? Niners attached, not attached. They want a first rounder. I mean, there's just every day there's the news goes in a different direction. But what do you? So
I'll say this first off: Julio's being traded. One, you've already heard him say, "I'm out of there." 2, the Falcons can't even sign their draft class. They don't have enough cap room to sign their draft picks. So, like, they have to wait till June 1st, which is really, really close. And June 1st is important because the way the CBA was devised is you're allowed 2 post-June 1st designations where you can spread out a cap penalty over 2 years instead of 1 year. So if they traded Julio today, all of those cap hits have to happen this year. They can't handle that. So after June 1st, you can split that cap hit, some in 2021, some in 2022. So you got about a week left of this. The 49ers 100% are interested. But two things. One, the Falcons do not want to trade Julio Jones to the NFC contender. That's stupid. You want to trade him to the AFC if you have a choice.
Yeah, you
And
want
then
to bury him
two,
somewhere.
right. And then two, draft capital, which the 49ers also don't have. So I think Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch will have to get creative, some young players, multiple like third and fourth round picks, that type of a thing if they want to get them. I don't think we will, but can Kyle be disciplined enough not to overpay? We'll see. I want Julio. You can make the numbers work relatively well, and there's only a few teams in the NFL that could do this. Julio said he wants to go to a contender. That's number one. He wants to win now. So you got to find teams with cap space and that are going to win. That's where it gets difficult.
What was I going to say? I'm trying to think of that receiver that everybody they say the Niners are interested in. I think his name is Dede
Westbrook.
Yeah, I don't know much about him personally.
So he came out of Oklahoma. He was there with Baker, and he was kind of Marquise Hollywood Brown before Marquise Hollywood Brown.
Okay.
It's the same team, like same role. Undersized, kind of Devontae Smith type body, just big playmaker, but he had a lot of injuries. His rookie year was his best year, never caught on in Jacksonville. But the difference and the reason why people talk about him is he's free. He's free. You can sign him to a league minimum deal. You don't have to give up any draft compensation, whatever. And he fits perfectly with that wide receiver 3 spot. Now, he's still not fully healed. And that's the problem that we had with Marquise Lee. We asked him to sign an injury waiver, and he said no, so they let him go. And that's why those guys with that type of talent are out there, second, first round draft picks that, hey, we'll take you, but you got to be healthy. And if you're not healthy, we don't really have room for you right now.
What do you think of the Niners' philosophy supposedly changing about how they were drafting this year? John Lynch and Kyle both talked about it post-draft, about how they're definitely like in consideration of taking people off the board if they have a checkered injury past. That's why I like when this whole thing would happen with this guy Dede, again, I forget his last name. Once I hear a guy has a checkered injury past, I just don't get excited, and I don't want them to sign them.
It's hard not to have an injury in the NFL. It's hard to make it through high school ball and not get injured, let alone college and then the NFL. It's 100% injury sport. Now, some injuries are going to raise your kind of awareness a little bit more than others. There's no doubt about that. But you can't just stay away from guys that are injured. It's just not possible. Now, if you look at the way in which they drafted this year, Trey Lance, no injuries. Aaron Banks, no injuries. Trey Sermon had an injury, but that was 2 years ago, had a full season of production, and so you're okay with that. Ambry Thomas didn't have injuries, but he had colitis. It was in the hospital for a while, came back, played a full season after the fact, right? Probably the one player that has the most injury kind of history, and that's Talanoa Hufanga. He had 3 shoulder issues, and so much so they put a steel plate in his shoulder. So like we got a T100 on our team. Like that's what we got now. But again, that's a 6th-round pick. Yes. You can take a little bit more of a risk later on, right? Early on, no, you want to be safe. Again, I always tell people it's the Tony Gwynn method. He's in the Hall of Fame. Why? Singles and doubles, baby. Wins baseball games. That's all there is to it. You don't have to hit the home run all the time. So make sure there's no Solomon Thomas. Well, he didn't have any injury history. No Reuben Fosters, no Joe Williams. That's the stuff you want to stay away from.
Speaking of shoulders, I've had 2 surgeries in 2 straight years. I've missed like a year and a half of work.
You must be a good, strong safety, man. Were you laying the wood coming into the box?
I'm a big guy, but I'm completely unathletic. 6'3" of wasted size.
Oh man.
I couldn't play. I can't play basketball because I can't dribble and I could shoot a little bit. And when I was in high school, I was pretty tall, but my mom never signed off to let me play. I wanted to play quarterback, of course, but I weighed 140 pounds in high school. So yeah. So but yeah, my shoulders jacked up. I can only imagine the guy who plays like he does, lay in the wood. You're like you said, if it's a 6th-round pick, it's where you could take a risk on it. But like, exactly. I'm glad that they have somewhat adjusted philosophy because that really got to me after a while. Like every time I thought we got past it when we got rid of Trent Baalke, and then I'm hearing all the same kind of like, oh, this guy had this in college. I'm like, why are we drafting these guys? Just drives me nuts.
It's difficult because, like, again, if you walk away from injured players and you just say we're not drafting injured players anymore,
Right.
who the hell do you draft?
Yeah, a lot of people are injured.
You've got to be able to check a lot of those things off and check them out because, there were a couple players that were really, really high on a lot of 49ers boards. Azeez Ojulari, for one. Perfect fit in the 49ers offense. Well, he got dinged because they found out he had a knee issue late in the draft process. And he was on the board when the 49ers were picking it. They said, no, we're not going to take him. We're going to trade back and take an offensive guard, which I'm very, very happy about. I really wanted that interior offensive lineman in the second round.
I told Eric Crocker, it says this was, other than Trey Lance, was not a sexy draft, but it was like a really solid, like, we need the running backs because they all get injured. So why not draft 2? Offensive line totally needs to be addressed. They did that. Quarterback got addressed. And then, as you get later in the draft, it's more, I feel like almost every pick made sense in this draft that they made. Like, I don't always feel that way with some of these past drafts, but yeah,
it tells the story for sure.
Yeah. It's all wait and see, really. Like I always tell everybody that I have on here, it's all injuries, man. It's all going to come down. If we can stay healthy, man, which is going to lead into one of my next questions about, where you think how competitive we could be with at full strength. Do you think this roster at full strength is good enough to compete in the NFC with the teams like, say, Tampa Bay and Green Bay if they have Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, 100%. There's no doubt. Whether you're looking at Vegas odds, whether you're looking at power rankings, whether you're looking at depth charts, doesn't matter. The 49ers are at the top of this list, and that's without Trey Lance. That's with Jimmy Garoppolo. This team is built to win. There's no doubt about that, and the 49ers believe that. You don't make all those moves in free agency if you don't think you can win now. You don't sign all those one-year deals if you think we're building for the future. And so I know a lot of people are like, oh, man, we're getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. We're going to trade him for a third. Who cares? Guys, listen to this front office. And when they tell you we're keeping Jimmy Garoppolo, believe them. Now, would they trade him for a first-round pick? Sure. That market doesn't exist post-draft. They could have traded Jimmy Garoppolo to the Patriots beforehand, but they weren't comfortable because they didn't move up to number 3 yet. So understand this. You do not keep Jimmy Garoppolo at $25 million salary this year if you don't think you can win with him. And who's to say they can't? The only reason why they can't is if he gets injured. And like we said earlier, guess what? If Jimmy Garoppolo gets injured now it's time for the rookie to step in and be a stud.
After last season, or even towards the end of last season, one thing I said in one of my videos was they got to redo that whole quarterback room. Like that whole quarterback room needs to be completely gutted. I did say down the line that if they did draft somebody and they wanted to keep Jimmy as kind of like a mentor, I'd be okay with that. But like that was one of my biggest pet peeves last year, just watching that absolutely horrendous quarterback play. Even when Jimmy was playing, he wasn't playing all that well either. You can't win in this league if your quarterback is bad.
Yep.
You can win when he's average if you have like a really good defense and a good running game. But if your quarterback is the reason you lose, you're not winning nothing. Because this league is a quarterback league. It's all about scoring and wide open offenses, and this league likes the quarterback. Like it's just built. The league is built that way. So, like, man, I was so with the Trey Lance move, with Jimmy staying on and being a good guy about it. Even their third stringer, whoever that's going to be, it's not going to be the other 2 guys that we've had the last 2 years, or 3 years, and I'm really happy about that because I was just completely like, these guys can't play NFL football. They're not talented.
No, and you're exactly right. Like the reason why we have 5 quarterbacks now, which is way too many in camp, like we have too many quarterbacks, but that's a good problem to have because what you're doing is you're going to figure out who the backup quarterback of the future is. So not only do you have the Jimmy versus Trey, and that's going to get all the attention and all the headlines. That's great. One of those other 3 guys, whether it's Josh Johnson, Josh Rosen, or, they brought in from Philadelphia. Goodness, his name's off the top of my head. I apologize.
Nate Stetfield.
Yeah,
I
Studfield,
can't.
Nate Studfield. Thank you.
Sutfield,
Um,
whatever.
One of those three is going to be the long-term backup, at least is what the 49ers are hoping for Trey Lance. Obviously, Jimmy's got 1 or 2 years, probably less than 1 year here. But understand this, like Josh Rosen or Nate Sudfeld will be backing up Trey Lance next year. That's what they want. So this competition is not just Trey versus Jimmy. It's way more convoluted than that. And that's why you have so many guys there.
What do you think? How do you think the Niners should handle Trey? You think there's packages, or do they sit him all year? I'm one of the people that thinks they need to integrate him somehow
I don't
this
want
year.
packages. I want series. Okay.
Okay,
So I don't want sending him in there in a Taysom Hill, like, oh, let's let him. No. I
no
hate
gimmicks.
that. No. If you want to say, look, he's going to get the first series in the third quarter, or he's going to get this, or if
Okay,
you're up, whatever, I don't care. Set that term and say, look, he's going to get the first series, week 1, maybe nothing. Week 2, okay, he's going to get 1 series a half, something small. Or if we blow him out, or if we're getting blown out, or whatever, it doesn't matter. It just getting him on the field some. That's what I want. Don't put him out there and run quarterback power. Yes, he could do it. And maybe if like the game's on the line and it's 4th and 1 and all those things, I doubt you would send a rookie out there, but that's cool. But I don't want to see Taysom Hill packages. That's just, I don't like the way that looks.
yeah, I'm big on that's true, and I would definitely. I mean, that's how they did Joe Montana back in the day. They worked him in when Dave Craig, or excuse me, not Dave Craig. Uh, I can't think of the. I should know this. I'm not a real Niners fan.
No, you are. You are.
Steve DeBerg was a quarterback, and Montana would come in. That's how they integrated him little by little, and that's exactly how they should. I think they should use Trey Lance. I mean, Trey Lance physically is more gifted than Montana ever was, as far as
It's a
athleticism.
new NFL, that's for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, it's going to be interesting this year. Probably the happiest I've been after a draft since I've been a 49ers fan. I
There
used to
was
go to
so
the.
much. There was so much on that third pick.
It was so stressful working up, like getting that day. I was trying to listen. Larry Kruger's like, it's going to be Trey Lance, and I'm like, damn it, Larry. I hope you're right, because if you're not, I'm going to be pissed. And sure enough, it was. Man, there was. I put a video on my channel of just different people reacting to the pick, just like grown men acting like little kids.
Yep.
Over a guy that we don't even know if he's going to be good.
Nope.
But we did not want Mac Jones. I did not want Mac Jones. To me, Mac Jones is just Jimmy without health problems.
Yeah.
There's no discernible difference really in the player. So that was.
And I think Mac will be good. I think he went to a good spot. I don't think Mac Jones wanted to come here, to be honest with you. Why would he? Outside of the coaching staff and the supporting cast, his political views he's made very well known. Like the fan base clearly didn't want him. Like it was just a bad place. So instead, he goes to a place in New England where his political views will be welcomed by the coach and the owner and all those things.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, and I mean they'll love him there. So and it's not you don't root against anybody. Like don't be that person. Did I want Mac Jones here? Hell no, I didn't. And whenever they picked Trey Lance, I was as happy as any person not named Trey Lance. But you wash it off and you say, all right, man, Mac Jones, good luck to you. Hopefully it works out well. And I know some of the fan base, they're always going to do this where it's like, oh, why didn't we pick Justin Fields? Whoever balls out at a Justin Fields or Mac Jones, both will probably see the field before Trey Lance. Oh, why didn't we just get him? We made a poor choice. Hold on. Wait. Trey Lance could sit for 2 years, then get his first snap, and he would still be getting his first snap ahead of Justin Fields and Mac Jones. Because guess what? They're 2 years older than he is already currently. So this is a 100% wait and see incubation period type pick where you just get to chill because, again, youngest rostered quarterback in the NFL. Let's just be patient with it.
Yeah, I'm a very happy man. Just the way everything worked out. I've never asked this of anybody since I've had him on, but do you have any specific camp battles that you're kind of looking forward to?
There's a lot this year, man. I think Aaron Banks slides in. He's starting right tackle or right guard day one. I
I
think
believe
that's
you're right.
solidified. A lot of people want to say running back, but I don't think that's going to be a battle. I think Trey Sermon's going to lead the team in carries. And you let Mostert get his 7 to 10 carries a game. Try to keep him healthy. He hasn't been able to stay healthy since he's been a featured back. So Trey Sermon gets the workload. His body can handle it. You work in, Raheem Mostert probably goes out there first series, but then you're sprinkling him in throughout the game. I think one of the key camp battles, there's several, but one of the key camp battles is that backup tackle spot, that swing tackle spot. Because whenever you drafted 2 offensive guards, Aaron Banks will start at right guard. Then you draft Jalen Moore out of Central Michigan, or Western Michigan. He steps in. He's going to be a backup there too with Brunskill. That kicked Colton McKivitz back to tackle where the 49ers wanted him initially. So now you got Colton McKivitz just in school, right? Which he's been the guy there. And then you also got your carryover from the Browns that you traded a long time ago. So you got these 3 guys that are fighting for that swing tackle spot. And I think that's going to be entertaining. Sean Coleman, I think he might be the front runner. A lot of people think that he's a foregone conclusion. But remember, Kyle Shanahan traded for Sean Coleman. Now, he got injured, then he opted out, and he had reasons to do that with medical history and stuff like that. So don't fault him for that. Nope. I don't think the organization will either. But that's a 3-horse race. And, man, whoever to win that job is going to get cut. So we're going to see some turnover there.
What's your opinion on Fred Warner right now? You think the Niners should? Are you one of those people that thinks that he shouldn't go to training camp without a deal, or do you think he should show up anyways? And maybe
the 49ers have set this precedent. Look at George Kittle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come to camp, come to OTAs. Once everything gets going, we're going to pay you. We're going to pay you. And what they're doing is they're showing, look, George Kittle, the best tight end in the league, period. Yep. They paid him like the best tight end in the league. Trent Richardson, good Lord, I'm sorry. Let me delete that from my mind. Trent Williams, best tackle in the league, they paid him as such. Now you got Fred Warner, best linebacker in the league coming off an all-pro year. They're going to pay him. And so what they're doing is they're setting the precedent. If you want to get paid, you show up. You stay at home, that's not us. That's not what we are. We had over 80 players out of 90 show up to OTAs. And that's after Tom Brady and all the rich people that are just worried about themselves and don't care about rookies said, don't go, don't go, don't go. And so, man, the 49ers locker room is so great right now. The culture, everything that they have there, oh, man, it's awesome. It's exactly what you want in a franchise. Look at the Packers. They're 12 best players didn't show up. They stayed home. Aaron Rodgers is off with movie stars hanging out, hiking in the wilderness. And that team
with his cute young fiance.
Hey, tip of the hat,
playing
man.
Guitar, yeah, absolutely, no doubt. That's a man after my own heart.
Yeah.
That whole franchise, though, for what he said, it was never about them drafting Jordan Love. It was about it's a cultural thing that he has an issue with. There's some just things behind the scenes that we don't know about that he's just kind of sick of. I just think it's interesting that they had an interview with John Lynch, and he did admit that the Niners, put the call in and all that stuff. How do you feel about that? I honestly think you never should leave no stone unturned, but at the same time, when they said it was Trey Lance all the way, I'm kind of confused. Which is which? Was it Trey Lance all the way, or could you have been, could you have ended up trading that pick for Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. What do you think about that?
No offer was made, and with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, you're exactly right. They called on Le'Veon Bell, right? They called on Teddy Bridgewater this year. They called on all these people. Doesn't mean they're pursuing. They're just hey, what would it cost for Aaron Rodgers? You want to swap Jimmy Garoppolo? We're totally cool. We don't know if they were offering Jimmy Garoppolo. If that's the case, awesome. We don't know if they were offered the third pick. If that's the case, that's a little scary. So it's easy to be oh, well, they didn't want Trey Lance because they called on Aaron Rodgers. No. That's not this front office. Okay. Just because they call, that doesn't mean anything. They're just reaching out. And so you just I appreciate it because whenever you're looking at people like Julio Jones, you mean to tell me you don't think Kyle Shanahan, who coached Julio Jones to his 2 best years in this league, is going to call and see what it's going to cost.
Yeah, like
And if you go all the way back to when DeAndre Hopkins got traded to the Cardinals, and everybody's like, what the hell? Why didn't the 49ers offer something, right? Because you don't know. You may have a jackwagon as a head coach, GM, Bill O'Brien, that's just going to sell for pennies. And so you reach out, you try to see what you can get, but at the end of the day, you don't overpay. And usually the 49ers don't overpay. They overpaid for number 3, though. So that should tell you something about Trey Lance, but they usually in the past, they haven't overpaid.
My brother made a good point. He's a Dolphins fan, and I'm really hoping they do well this year. They look like they nailed it in the draft. I think Tua is going to a lot of judgment being passed on that kid. He didn't have an offseason last year, honestly. And so I'm high on them. One of the things he said to me, he said, your front office, John Lynch. I said, no, it's Parag Marafe. Like the way that the Niners construct these contracts, man, like he's a genius. It's always somehow, some way, in a way, most of them, I'd say 9 out of 10 in contracts, team friendly after like a couple of years. The Niners eat a bunch of it in the beginning, and then at the end, they always somehow can get out of it. And I just think that's genius front office thing by Parag Marafe.
Oh, he's awesome, and I'm with you. But then you look at like 2 deals, 3 deals that were not team friendly. Quan Alexander, D Ford, Western Richburg. All 3 of those bit us in the rear end. But guess what? I think probably one of the biggest trades ever was being able to trade Quan Alexander away for that 5th round pick. That's bananas. I have no idea what the Chiefs or the Saints were thinking there, but that saved us huge. We don't get to keep Trent Williams without that trade. Number 2, Western Richburg, even though he's retiring, restructured before he retired and pushed back some of that money to help the team. That's incredible. D Ford, I don't think he'll ever play again, but he's trying to. And again, pushed back a lot of money just so he could help the team. So sticking with what you said, you're right. Most of those deals are team friendly. Not all of them are. But even the ones that weren't, that got us in the end, we still found a way out because of the culture, because of the climate, because of the relationship this front office has with their players. If you have ever played for Kyle Shanahan, you're good because he brings you with him wherever he goes, man. And
he's super
like
honest
a traveling
too with
companion.
His players.
Yep, and that's rare.
Whether you're like, if you suck or you're doing bad, he's going to tell you. If you're fantastic, he's going to tell you too. He's that to me, even in a person like I have a job outside of YouTube. The one thing I want my superior to be to me is honest. Don't talk behind my back. Don't cause dissension in the ranks by talking to other people about me. If you got a problem, come to me, be honest. That about Kyle Shanahan I love is that he's a straight shooter. And that the fact that Jimmy and that whole situation is working out the way it did, they were honest with Jimmy about what they were doing. Jimmy understood it. I mean, you're right. Like people leave that organization. Not a lot of people have a bad things to say about that organization, at least in the last couple of years, leaving. So I hope it all works out. I hope, from front office to players to drafting, everything just this year becomes like the magic year where everything kind of falls into place.
I think this year's going to be great, but 2022 and 2023, those should be circled. Those are the years where, again, I'm not writing off this year, but if I had to guess, those 2 years are going to be pretty damn sweet.
Speaking of those years with the cap going up, but what's your opinion on the $208 million bump going? I'm not a big cap guy. I try to understand over the cap, and I'm not good with math, so I can't. To me, it seems just from my point of view that like with the cap going up the way that it is, that the Niners should be able to get Fred Warner's deal, plus with Jimmy's money coming off the books, and then you got to think about Bosa down the line. Hopefully, if he could stay healthy. What do you think?
There's room for all of that. There's no doubt. Fred Warner's not going to cost a lot. He's like $15 million. And I say that doesn't cost a lot as a teacher. That breaks my heart, but I'm happy he makes that money, right? But no, there's plenty of room all over the place to make these deals possible. There's no doubt. And again, you talked about the jump up in pay. I think it's like 27.5 or around 27.5 million increase from where we are now. Just to put that into perspective, that is exactly what Myles Garrett's contract is, and he's the highest paid defensive end. So even if that's the only increase that happens, and you're not even taking Jimmy Garoppolo off the books, that's Nick Bosa's extension, right? So it's increasing that much. And after the TV deals and everything is finalized, and this is the news coming out of the NFL through lots of different outlets, the giant increase is 2023. So yeah, it's jumping up 2022, but then it's going to be astronomical 2023. So the 49ers are going to be in a great place. And remember, we're going to be on a rookie quarterback contract. So we're going to be able to surround some people around this quarterback, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, the whole Kansas City Chiefs way of doing things, where you get the young quarterback, build around him, try to get his best years, and insulate him with as much talent as possible. That's the perfect situation. Mahomes is amazing.
Yeah, he's different.
I usually hate really good quarterbacks because that usually means the Niners are not winning or beating them teams. But that's the one dude who I have nothing bad to say about.
I agree
at all. He's just straight up awesome.
I'm a Longhorn. So like I had to play against him at Tech. And then now with the 49ers, it's still, I don't wish any ill will against him. I hope he loses all of his games. But man, I respect the hell out of that man with what he's been able to do. A lot of respect.
You have to be younger than me then for a bit. I'm going to say early 30s, maybe.
No, man, I'm 38, so I'm a little younger.
Oh, you're a little younger than me.
Little younger.
I just because some of I forgot what you were talking about before, where you kind of touched on some stuff that when I was young too. I forgot.
Oh, the Braves, probably the Braves.
Oh yeah, I used to be hardcore Yankees too. I know that's not a very popular thing in this chat or in this channel, but that's all right.
You do, man.
But I've kind of fallen off of baseball. But yeah, I was like a Niners, and Yankees, two teams that people can't understand how I'm a fan of. Like how does that even make sense? First of all, my uncle's like, you should be a Bills fan living out in Western New York, Rochester, and I'm like, nope. I had a third cousin of my family. My mother's from Sicily, and her cousin met Joe Montana. He works in like I don't know exactly what business. He meets a lot of famous folk. He met him about 1989, and I was just getting into football, and I asked about who this man that he met, and when he told me who it was, I'm like, oh, you met Joe Montana, and I was just getting into football, and that was the reason I started liking the 49ers. That one, they were fantastic when I started liking them. And then two, a family member of mine met him. He's Irish Italian, just like me. So I was like, okay, I'm hooked. Yep. This is my dude. So yeah. And now I always tell Patriots fans, tell me how hardcore of a fan you are when your team starts to suck and you don't win championships. I've been a 49ers fan 30 years. I've seen some good and I've seen some really bad. So come back at me when you've been through some of the lean years that the 49ers have been through.
And I put out there a lot. I'm with you, man. And I grew up in Dallas. I'm a Texas guy. I see CG out there putting Oklahoma Sooners, man. Get that crap out of here.
Yes. I wanted to say that he CG. Said hello to you.
Oh, he's the man. I love that dude. I just give it a hard time. We'll have to have some bets over Red River this year. But the idea is this. I don't care how you became a fan. Like, that's never my role or something. Oh, you're not a fan because of this. Here's what I will say. If you're a fan of the 49ers now, dude, you're here. Like, that's all that matters.
That's
and
right.
The more, the merrier. I teach high school kids. And every single year, whoever just won, that's who everybody's a fan of. And they all love LeBron, right? That's just what it is. And like I always ask them this, like, that's cool, man. Stick with that team. And when they lose, stick with that team. You don't change teams.
Nope.
Just because it's comfortable. No. You were here for Chip Kelly? All right, you're a real fan, period. You stuck with us, we're in it. Well, that's what faithful means.
That's right. I got a buddy in the chat. His name is Kevin, Niner by Nature 88. He's a LeBron guy. I'm a Jordan dude. My nephew's a LeBron dude. We get into some heated discussions about who the GOAT is. And when they start to get super heated, I'm like, all right, we're done. I love you. You're my nephew. This isn't happening because I have my viewpoints But then my nephew's right. I haven't watched basketball probably since the late 90s on a regular basis. I stopped when Jordan left. So my nephew's like, how can you compare something that you don't pay attention to? And I'm like, fair enough. But LeBron is
LeBron's
he's really
great. I,
he's
I I love this discussion because greatness on any
CG
sport
says
is so fun.
Kobe's the GOAT.
See, he went to Oklahoma, man. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. All right. And so again, I'm from Dallas. I'm a big Mavericks guy. I love Luka, Dirk, those guys. They're great.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
even close to the GOAT. And I don't care if you have LeBron number 2, number 3, number 4. Don't care. I think he belongs up there. He's amazing. But no, it is Jordan. It is Jordan. And there is no competition to this question.
Thank
and
you
I
very
am
much.
not a Bulls fan. I'm not a
about to
Bulls
lose
guy.
like 10 viewers or 10 subscribers on this.
I don't care. Like, you should be able to sit back and recognize just the greatness that was.
Right.
Again, I don't like the Bulls. I don't like them at all. But no, it's Jordan, and it's just what it is.
I'm a Joe Montana guy, and it took me a while to accept that Brady, I guess, is the GOAT. You know, my nephew's like, you're finally accepting. I'm like, yes. I mean,
You can't argue with the numbers.
he's got more championships. He's played longer. But you know, my favorite player growing up is Joe Montana. My second was Jerry Rice. They're still my two favorite players of all time. Because Jerry Rice to me is the greatest football player possibly ever to play football.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got every record and he's a winner. Like, you can't compete with that. He's not just one of those dudes that put up records and didn't win crap. Like, he was good. He made plays in the biggest games and he has all the records. So, like, there's no argument on that one. I mean, Joe, you could say whatever, but as far as, and Jordan never lost in the finals. Thank you, CG. Exactly. That's my point with my nephew. My nephew's like, but LeBron's been to more. I'm like, fair enough, but still, you can't lose in championships. So
nope.
That's my thing with Joe Montana. My last little thing I just want to ask you is the news about Brandon Marshall, the linebacker.
Yeah, I don't think I love our linebacker core. Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, there's no questions there. Those guys, you have a top 5, top 3. I'd be willing to argue top 2 linebacker and core in the NFL whenever you're just looking at those two guys. That number 3 spot, we got Aziz, right? He's there. You brought over Gary, who I like from Philadelphia, more of a special teams guy, and they told him he can compete for that number 3 spot. Jonas Griffith, who I like a lot, out of Indiana State. He was on the practice squad all last year, undrafted free agent last year. Like him, he's a high upside guy. So it's interesting. But again, if you bring in Brandon Marshall, hasn't played since 2018. But, man, a lot of veteran presence. Well, you got a lot of young guys in that room. Same in the wide receiver position. A lot of young guys. Your top 2 is great. But after that, there's some question marks. So, yeah, if you brought him in, that's okay. I doubt he'd make the team, to be honest with you. We'll have to see how it pans out for his physical, but I don't think much come of it. Even if they sign him, I don't think much come of it.
Right. I don't get really excited about a lot of signings lately. Like the whole signing of Marquise Lee. After that happened, and then they let him go. Everyone was like asking me about Dede, and I'm just like, because a lot of these signings they're camp bodies. And then like Jordan Matthews, everybody was so excited we signed Jordan Matthews a couple years ago. He didn't make the team. He never sticks. So like anytime there's kind of news on this guy and that guy, I don't really get super excited unless it's like a high-end player who could make an impact. Like if somebody told me like Khalil Mack was a free agent and should the Niners pick him up? Absolutely. And if they signed him, he's pretty much going to stay on the team. Any of these other guys, to me, it's just like whatever. It doesn't really move the needle on me either way.
Yep. I'm with you, man. But, man, this has been awesome. I love it. Your
Thank you.
freaking community that you got here is awesome besides CG. That dude needs to get some stuff straight.
Yeah, he got you first. I was attempting to get you, and he got you first. So I got to give him props on
he's awesome,
Mr.
man.
Chapman
awesome.
first. I have I'm interviewing Brian Peacock tomorrow. I never thought I would get him from Locked On 49ers.
That's a huge get because he does about 12 podcasts a week.
Yeah, I'm like, does he even want to talk stuff with me? Because if I talk that much Niners, I'd be like, ugh.
Brian's awesome, man. Great dude.
Yeah, for the most part, I agree on everything he ever says. I got a little upset at him when he said that the Niners, maybe it wasn't smart that they gave up so much for Trey Lance. But then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? He is right. It is a lot to give up, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yep. Get your QB. Get your QB.
All right, brother. I appreciate you coming on.
This is
Thank you for
awesome,
giving
man.
me your time. I would love
Yes,
to do
sir.
this again as we get closer to training camp or season, during the season, something like that.
Hit me up, man. Hit me
Absolutely.
up. DM's always open. Always. We're like
Absolutely.
7-Eleven.
I'm going back to work, so I won't be doing a lot of less of the YouTube thing. I've been out like 6 months. So, but hopefully near the season, I'll be, doing more of this live stuff again. But it's going to kind of
Nice.
calm down for me in the foreseeable future. But appreciate you coming on, man.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day, man. See ya, everybody.